Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Senja Spelman. Hi, Senja.
Hi, Eddie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this conversation today.
Absolutely, and me too. We're going to talk about marketing and PR, and you are an expert in that area. So I attended we'll call it a webinar or an online workshop that you delivered, and I was so impressed. I said, okay, I have to have Senja on my podcast talking to the audience here so they can hear what you have to say, because I know that they're going to be able to take it and implement it. Mm-hmm. So we met through Brianna Hetherington, and she is the founder of Altruistic Coaching. I actually did a great episode with her, and the link to that episode is going to be in the show notes as well. So thank you, Brianna, for such a great connection. So Brianna has a mastermind where she brings amazing speakers, and you were one of them. So let's get started. Let's talk about marketing. But first of all, I'm going to introduce you, the bio, right? So we know why you are so qualified to speak about what you're speaking about. So you work in PR and community engagement, and you focus on building meaningful partnerships and creating stories that resonate.
Definitely.
Yeah, you lead TV, PR, and digital strategy for a national home improvement brand, and consult with businesses on how to grow through connection, not just conversion. So it's all about the connection. And you're especially passionate about local impact, thoughtful storytelling, and helping brands show up in ways that feel authentic.
Yeah.
And Senja, this is so important in today's world. We talked a little bit before the show about AI, and you got to be authentic, because we have so many stories that are AI generated, but being authentic is really something that is different nowadays, right?
So true, Addie. I think that, and I want to also, if I could, just say thank you to Brianna for connecting us. I think the group that we were connected in is especially important and impactful because Empower Her, it's all of these amazing women in the home services space. And as an industry that's primarily male, being able to have a space where women can get together and collaborate and have so much talent in one room is just so impactful. So I love being a part of that. And of course, having you as a part of it as well. It's just great to connect great women. So what an amazing intro. I completely agree when it comes to AI. And you and I were discussing earlier about how we like to leverage AI. And what I noticed as a consistency as we're having this conversation is it's all of the tedious things that you would normally outsource to someone like an assistant, or maybe someone that is just working on an hourly basis and doing kind of the clerical work. But when you are trying to leverage AI from a creative strategy standpoint, and as marketers, that's our primary goal, you're probably not going to be able to get the same level of quality that would disrupt people and do what marketing is actually supposed to do, because AI is built to give you the most popular answer, something that's already been done in the space. And as marketers, our whole goal is to do something that's different. So as we talked about earlier, having that be your end all be all is really dangerous, but again, can be a great tool if you leverage it the right way.
Absolutely. You have to lead it. That's for sure. So Senja, tell us a little bit about, first of all, about your story and how you got to where you're at right now in terms of leading being part of a national home improvement leading company, and you're doing the PR for them, the marketing, and you're really an authority in that field. I mean, you know what you're doing, and you've created amazing results. How did you get there? What's the history?
Yeah, wow. I always say that I never knew I was going to end up in home services. As someone that couldn't even swing a hammer, still can't swing a hammer. I call my stepdad when I need any of my pictures hung up. I didn't know that I would be in this space, but my journey in home services basically started after I had already worked in dental and disaster restoration after my undergrad. And I connected with Amy Zimmerman, who at the time was working for Tunderland Home Improvements. We had a Zoom call in a busy coffee shop. And I remember seeing her within the first 2 minutes and thinking, this is my person. Her energy was so exuberant, and just her overall aesthetic, the way she carried herself. I thought, oh my goodness, I need to be as close as I can to this strong, powerful woman. And
So
then,
for those of our listeners that don't know who Amy is, why don't you tell us who is Amy?
yeah, if you don't know Amy, I guess I don't have any words. She is one of the most amazing powerhouses in home services. She actually was awarded, I believe, 2 years ago, an award that was a foundation or a pillar in the industry, in the space. She's been in home services forever. I don't think that I can go to any of our events like Top 500 or Fast Remodeler or any of the Dave Yoho events without people mentioning Amy Zimmerman at least once. So she's a great marketing professional. Right now, I believe that she is the VP of marketing for Great Day Home Improvements, and she oversees a variety of brands. I don't want to misspeak and say a number, but I know that she's national and just killing it. She's a great resource, that's for sure.
That's awesome. Okay, good. So we're definitely giving here a shout out to Amy. And okay, good. So let's continue. So you had that Zoom call with Amy.
Yep. So I had the Zoom call with Amy. I scheduled my tour to go meet Brian Gottlieb, who is another really big name in home services. Brian Gottlieb was the founder of Tunderland Home Improvements, and he also owned a Renewal by Andersen business in Milwaukee. He is really well known for his off-the-wall guerrilla marketing tactics and shaking up the space. I think maybe that's why I'm so passionate about being unique, because my start in home services involved him and his ideas. So I go to Tunderland Home Improvements. I meet Brian Gottlieb. His energy again is contagious. I meet Kyle Powers, Kyle Sellers. Kyle Powers is another great name in home improvement, but Kyle Sellers, who was our leaders coach. Tunderland had invested in making sure that their leaders were having continuous growth. And I saw this entire business and how robust it was and the culture. And I thought, okay, I'm in. And then when I started at Tunderland, again, I got such great experience in lead generation, performance marketing, offline marketing. We had radio campaigns, TV campaigns, PR in terms of corporate sponsorships with major players like the Milwaukee Brewers, being able to use influencer marketing. We signed on a really well-known influencer in the Wisconsin area. So basically all encompassing the marketing mix within this role. And it would be, in my opinion at the time, it would have been my retirement company. I felt so at home. I felt like I was making growth and progress, and that effort that I put into the role was being acknowledged, and just an overall great company. I can't say enough good things about Tunderland in the prime, if you will. And then Brian Gottlieb was given an amazing opportunity to be able to pass off Tunderland to a company called Leaf, and they're very well known for Leaf Filter, their gutter protection system. So Leaf was in the process of acquiring multiple home improvement companies. And so Tunderland was one of them. And we had some others within the window space, some more within the bath space, things along those lines. And because of Amy's longevity in the space, Leaf had asked her and myself to help manage the marketing efforts and spend of those acquisitions. So her and I did that for about a year and a half. And then we both were given opportunities in other companies, which we couldn't pass up. So took those opportunities. For me, that was the marketing director of Bathworks, which is a jacuzzi bath remodel vendor out of Grand Rapids. So I managed all of our marketing efforts on that side, everything from the call center, lead generation, to event marketing and canvassing. It was super fun. And then at Top 500, where I spoke, I connected again with Jeff Gunnis and Spencer Pepe, the CEO and president of Home Genius Exteriors. And we had been talking prior, just keeping in contact, me taking the role at Bathworks. And so connecting again, they mentioned to me that they're building this team of what they call the Avengers of marketing. So everyone has their their respective character. I'm Scarlet Witch. I don't think that there's any type of characteristic overlap, but who knows? There totally could be. I haven't seen the Marvel movies, full disclosure, so I'll have to watch it and see if it's a compliment or an insult. But so we have the entire Avengers team created. And to me, that was the most attractive part of this role. So much talent in one space and being able to learn from industry leaders. We just brought on 2 new leaders in the C-suite, a CFO, and we're going to have a COO announced on Friday. So you'll see who that is. But again, just major powerhouses, folks that worked for Power Home Remodeling, folks that worked for Dream Style, a lot of really well-known companies in the space. So far it's been great. I feel like we have so much opportunity to do good and to continue to grow. And as Jeff Gunnis says, be the fastest growing and most respected home improvement company in the nation.
Amazing, amazing. So your expertise is in PR and marketing. What would you, if you're talking right now, let's say to home improvement contractors or entrepreneurs, and also entrepreneurs in general, because not all of our listeners, we know it's not in the home improvement area, but you can always learn from other industries and extrapolate from there. What would be your top advice in terms of how to create a good PR campaign?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, if you want to have effective PR, it has to be authentic. I think companies that dive into different ventures that don't necessarily align with their vision or mission because it's trendy, you see that fall apart later on. We're kind of seeing that right now with some businesses that had efforts or energy put into, let's say, for example, DEI, but they may not necessarily have that be a priority in their day-to-day, but in the moment, it was a very big buzzword that they wanted to invest in. And obviously businesses are entitled to make their own decisions of what their priorities are and who they are as a business. But when you set yourself in a position to say, this is a mission that's important to us, make sure that it truly is important. And so I know that some of the things that we've worked on in the home services space and the leaders that I've worked with very passionate about is supporting veterans. And a lot of the businesses that I've worked in have veteran employees or veteran owned businesses or have loved ones that were service members. And so for them, it was always something that was incredibly important and passionate about, and not only within the business realm, but also within their personal life. And I know sometimes that can be a hard balance of finding something that's important to you personally that you can translate into business. But if you do some self-reflection and have your vision and your mission written down as an organization, you can say, okay, how does this philanthropic avenue align with these things that we hold as truth in our organization? And if the answer is it doesn't, well, then we have to pivot and find what that looks like. So,
absolutely. So basically you're saying find an area that you can do something good and then use public relations in order to make it known.
100%. And I think separating yourself from the mission, PR should not be about vanity. It should not be about ego. It should be about the impact and the broad reach that it can have. Are you actually able to do good and have an actual impact? I think when organizations think about PR, if your first thought is, well, how can this make us look good? Then we've lost the plot. It has to be about how can we do good? And then in tandem, as you're doing good, it's just human nature to gravitate towards those do-gooders and have that reflect in your business.
Absolutely. So tell us a story about how you utilize that, like an authentic publication of authentic storytelling of something good that the company did that then actually resulted in people having good opinion of the company.
Yeah. Oh goodness. I have so many, I've been so fortunate to work with so many businesses that will, not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. I'm the pull from my most recent memory in home services of a really big mission that we did, which was Bass for the Brave. Bass for the Brave was a mission started by Brian Gottlieb, I believe, back in 2012. And basically what it is Tundraland had identified that a lot of veterans have mobility issues and accessibility issues, which for those of you that don't know, the most dangerous area in the home is the bathroom. It causes a tremendous amount of slip and falls, which can lead to injury and permanent damage. Sometimes there are stories of people hitting their head and having brain damage, or even having it be fatal. So it's really important that that space is safe, and it's incredibly intimate. Like, you are fully exposed in the bathroom. And so it's important to feel comfortable and safe there. I digress, but we identified that as a problem. And these service members, who some of them have had amputations, again, permanent mobility issues because of their time in service, and they weren't receiving any help. These people that have literally given their lives for us in the United States to be able to live the lives that we do should not feel unsafe in their own home and in their bathroom. So last year, we led this program as Brian Gottlieb has kind of gotten out of the bath space, and he was gracious enough to let us run this program. And between myself and my marketing specialist at the time at BathWorks, we coordinated with 14 different organizations throughout the country to do these bath installs. And it was amazing. It was so impactful. We got national coverage. And for me, and I think for a lot of people that are passionate about this, the coverage is great from a business standpoint, of course, that you're able to show what your business is about, but even more so to build momentum and to have that passion be contagious and trickle down into other avenues, and having smaller business owners think, wait, we have veterans in our area that probably have the same problem. We can afford to do this, both financially and time. So that was a great initiative that we had. Our veteran was a gentleman who was a double amputee from he had lost both of his legs. It wasn't during his time in service, but it was from an illness that had progressed after that. And the state of his bathroom, when I first saw it, I had to excuse myself because it made me teary-eyed. He was basically having to crawl over his shower almost like on his hands to get into the bathroom. And then when he was into the actual space for bathing, his grab bar that he had, I could tell was wrapped up with like a bungee cord and duct tape, and there was no stabilization. He had told us that he had fallen twice. And at one point when he fell, he laid there for hours because he wasn't able to access a phone. So his new bathroom that we gave him was absolutely beautiful. And we were there with his son, his cousins. It was a whole community event, and it was just really lovely.
That's amazing. It's amazing. So how did you advertise that? How did you make it known that that's what you guys did?
Yeah, social media was a big thing leading up to it. We had a plan of free coverage, day of coverage, and post coverage, because again, you want to continue that momentum. So social media was a huge part for us. Again, since we were fortunate enough to pair with other businesses, it was feeding off of each other and interacting with each other's content and having it gain recognition that way. Not only organic social, but also putting a little bit of an investment to boost this post in people's feeds so they get the word out. We leverage some of our media partners. If people have any offline media partners that they use, such as radio stations, TV stations, publications, a lot of times they're going to be willing to help you because it also helps them. They get a feel-good story, and you get to share the information about what you guys are doing. So we did that. And then day of, we made sure to communicate with our media partners. We had 2 different news stations come out personally for us that were local there. We also made sure to invest in having someone that would capture internal content for us, because a lot of people think, okay, these PR initiatives are great for the community to know, but what they don't realize is how impactful they are for your people and how impactful they are for retention and telling your company story during sales calls. So we wanted to make sure that we had as much internal assets as we could collect to leverage that going forward. And then post coverage, again, we took so many assets, static images and video assets that we could share with news stations, that they would do post coverage publications as well. So we had some publications put in online, and then we shared the really feel good video that we had made about our veteran and shared it on our social. And then also we shared it on our quarterly meeting. And a lot of people, as you look out, because I knew what the video looked like, so for me, I get the joy of watching our team members' faces who've never seen it before, and just the awe on their face of, oh, this is more than us. Like, I might be a bath installer, but because I install baths here at Bathworks, that type of momentum is able to carry on into providing this individual who really needed a safe bath. And I know that I was a part of that mission.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful and it's authentic, because I can see that you care, and I know Brian, and I heard him give that example too in some conferences that I was part of, and it's just good, and then it's phenomenal. And so let's talk about other ideas that basically that help promote the brand but are also authentic. So you mentioned, well, we mentioned helping veterans. Then that's more of a philanthropic partnership, right? I mean that there is also a community outreach, being involved in the community.
Yep. I think a really great example that does it very well is at Home Genius Exteriors right now. We have a separate branch called Home Genius Cares, and Home Genius Cares is the part of our business that we allow our local divisions to be able to identify areas that could use assistance, so volunteer opportunities, community teams, things that people can be involved with locally, that make sure as we scale and as we expand, we still prioritize our grassroots and the communities that we serve, and we don't lose sight of that picture. So that's really impactful for us. And again, it's not something that we're trying to get press releases of every single thing that we do. We just want our teams to feel like they have the clearance and the support of giving back to where they live, and having the company that they work for support that mission.
Exactly, because it helps it. And I mean, it's that public relation is not just for outwards, it's also inside, because people want to have more meaningful places where they come to work. They don't just, if you really live by your purpose, then you are a better employee. You don't want a place to work when you go, okay, I'm just going to be here from 8 to 5, and then I can't wait for 5 o'clock to arrive so I can actually start living my life. I mean, that doesn't work, because the majority of your day, you better spend really achieving your purpose. So I love that. So we mentioned a philanthropic partnership, community outreach. Then we also have sustainability or social good campaigns, right? So what would that be?
Well, one that we did, it was initiated by one of my colleagues, Victoria. We identified that we had ordered some material that didn't work for the projects that we were doing. And we were consolidating all of this material from one job in the next, that maybe we had one window that didn't work, or we had one door that didn't work. And again, consolidating all this material, we identified that this was an area that we could give these resources back to the community. Well, so also having the PR tie-in, but being sustainable, to your point, not wasting. What this material could have gone to is just throwing it out and getting rid of it. But instead, we partnered with Habitat for Humanity to donate these windows and doors back to these various organizations. And when I say we, this is the Home Genius Exteriors team. We gave about $300,000 worth of windows and doors to the Summit County Habitat for Humanity. And then just recently, the Cherry Hill, New Jersey Habitat for Humanity, we gave about $100,000 worth of windows. Wow. And again, these are all material that could have easily been thrown out or disregarded, but instead finding a utility for it. And supposedly Habitat for Humanity says that they find it tremendously difficult to get windows in that are usable. So any window company out there, if you're listening to this, I highly recommend leveraging that and seeing if there's opportunity to give back.
I love it. I think it's brilliant. Any other examples or any other ideas that helps, to chew, like for a company that's looking, okay, I want to do something good. I want to, again, it's not because it's trendy, it's because it's true for you. And that's what I know you like to mention, that, you don't choose something because it's trendy, but do something that is true for you and you really align with and really communicates to you. And I think that will just show as well. I mean, I know it will show because it will be authentic. Any other ideas, bright ideas that you can throw out there for people to take a look at?
I think that when we are looking at marketing or PR, we love to overcomplicate it and think that there's this secret sauce and so many different steps you have to take to identify it. But really what it is at the end of the day is it's psychology and sociology. And we as human beings experience something every single day, which is life. that you can identify, oh, I saw this beautiful situation happen of someone donating money to an animal shelter. For me, when I see those videos on Facebook of the dogs being rehabilitated that were malnourished, I mean, I'm a puddle. It's not okay. So even something like that of what spoke to you, what made you feel emotional, because again, as a business owner or a leader in the space, you want to make sure that it's something that you can get behind. And if you are having this reaction, this very strong reaction to something that's making you feel good and giving you that light in your soul, then it's very easily understandable that that would carry through to others. So again, don't overcomplicate.
It's true. I mean, it's that emotional connection, you know, because you're making an emotional connection. It's not just a business transaction. This is what we do, but there is an emotional connection to you as a human, and you will be more inclined to do business with that person because you are connected, because it's a real person. Look, people that do good also, you know, it's not a blanket statement, but it will get identified as like, you know, if that person cares so much about the community and they come across authentically, they're probably not going to you know, they're going to do a good job. They're not going to trick me. They're not going to do things that I don't want them to do, or they're not going to, you know, do a bad job because they care. There is the care factor that you can only show when you're doing good things and helping others. So I think it's spot on. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Addie, one thing I just want to point out, when we had our Empower First session, you posed a question that I think is really powerful. And it was, how do you quantify the impact that PR makes? And while of course I can tell you, you know, look at your branded search in the areas that you had this, or look at your website results, or look at your Facebook analytics, or what have you in these areas. Where it really shows is when you are in the home, if you're a in-home sales company, and you get the feedback from people saying, oh, I saw that you did this install for a veteran. I saw it on the news. And I cannot tell you how much feedback we get from those customers. And then when the salespeople hear that at home, they think to themselves, yeah, this is the company that you want to work with. And I feel confident and I feel just in advocating for us that you want to work with our company, because we are a good company and we have all of these things that go beyond business. So again, it's just that momentum.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and that was my next question too, in terms of how do we measure, how do we quantify PR? You know, definitely we have that reaction, which is priceless. And that's what we are going for. But let's say we have people listening to us right now that they go, okay, you know, those are great ideas. I want to implement some of those actions and then publicize them. So, you know, people know about it. It will be on social media. It will be on TV. It will maybe press releases. As a PR person, how do you quantify your actions? What are good metrics to measure it?
I think website traffic is a huge measurement component, especially it's great with Google Analytics because you can get really specific about the geolocation. Where is that traffic coming from? Let's say for us, we have an event in Cleveland and we see a huge increase in Cleveland search for Home Genius exteriors. Well, then we know that this can be attributed to that. Same with Facebook. Again, all of these digital platforms where you can get really granular analytics of saying this traffic came from here. To your point, the media mentions that you get. One thing I'm very proud of right now is if you search Home Genius exteriors and hit news, you're only going to see the amazing things that we've done. And it makes it easy because we're doing so many amazing things. So it makes my job easier, but putting that out there and having that notoriety. But again, I think that one of the biggest things is looking at what it costs you as an employer, as a business leader or a business owner. How much does it cost me to hire someone? Not only cost in terms of financial resources, but time. And what is that worth to me? And knowing that you investing in these additional PR avenues is going to help mitigate that. I think it's really difficult to put a dollar amount, but if you look at it from that lens, I think it's pretty impactful.
Absolutely. I agree. Senja, we can talk for hours because we have so much more that we can talk about AI and marketing and authenticity and all that. But I think we covered a good segment here in terms of public relations and how to make it work for your business, but from a true and authentic way of doing it. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for all this knowledge. Now, if people want to get a hold of you because they have questions and they want to know more about what you do, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, Addie. Folks can reach out to me via LinkedIn, Senja Spelman. I'm sure you'll have the URL in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Reach out to me that way. I love to connect. And yeah, Addie, we're gonna have to have a whole separate segment about marketing and AI, because I have so many things to say about that. And the AI boom is so exciting. So I definitely am very passionate about PR and community engagement, but I'd be lying if I said that that's my only passion in marketing, all encompassing. It's just the best.
Absolutely. Thank you, Senja, for being such a great guest.
Thank you, Addie. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.